Greetings, friends. We are back. I hope everybody can hear me, or I'm not too loud here. I'm going to turn this down a tad. Welcome back to Vastlab Live. It's been a while. We're happy to be back, and we have an awesome program for everybody tonight. First up, we have our live score segment. For those of you that aren't familiar with live score, we have one of our filmmaker friends, Sibi Secker, in this instance, who has provided us with one of his short films that Pablo Perez will score. So that's always a exciting way to kick things off. Following that, we have Matt Helm with us. We're going to screen 3 of Matt's short films and then have a Q&A with Matt. And then finally, we have a Q&A with Pablo. And Pablo will play a set to round out the evening. So without further ado, here is our live score, You Are I Am by Sibi Secker and Pablo Perez with the live score. Pablo Perez, folks. That was amazing. It always is to see something totally new created with the on the fly live score soundtrack. Thanks, Pablo. We'll be hearing more from Pablo later. I don't know why I'm hearing myself. Oh, anyway. All right. So next up, we have 3 short films by Matt Helm. And then we will have a chat with Matt. So without further ado, here are films by Matt Helm.
Yes, I can. Okay.
Those were 3 films from Matt Helm: Logbook, 1AF, and Our Trip Morocco. And Matt Helm is joining us. Matt, you're in New York?
No, I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey. So it's getting a little late. Thank you for joining us, Matt. First, before we jump into the QA, why don't you tell us a little bit about the 3 choices that you shared with us this evening: Logbook, 1AF, and Our Trip Morocco?
Well, I got the idea for this series because I like Our Trip to Africa by Peter Kubelka, and Our Trip Morocco and 1AF both have the same theme. It's basically about European tourists on an African safari. And Logbook is a short film about logging in Africa. Now, that Kubelka film, 1966, Our Trip to Africa, I was impressed by the amateurish home movie feel of it, and my work kind of has the same style.
So one thing, Matt, while we jump into the QA here, I wanted to ask you about is your choice of sound. What goes into these 3 were all found footage films, and we'll get into that in a second because I had a couple questions on that. But tell us about sound. Tell us about your sound choices specifically for these films, and in general, how your use of sound influences the final product.
Well, generally how I work is I make the film first. I pick the clips, I do the editing, and then I look for the right soundtrack. And I usually go to the YouTube video editor archive, the sound library, to just select what I feel is right for the work.
And then in terms of the found footage, is that something that you typically work in found footage, or is it a combination of found footage and your own stuff that you shoot?
Nowadays, for a couple years, I've been doing found footage. For 2 reasons. It's Creative Commons, and it's free and easy to use. And I just enjoy the idea of taking something old and making it new again. That's what found footage is.
It's amazing too. To your point, I mean, archive.org just and the Prelinger archives, and there's just so much material to play with on there. It's totally. I use
I,
a lot of that myself. It's pretty awesome.
that's why this is why I like doing it. It's just an endless stream of material I have, quick and easy, and I don't spend a dime. I don't make a dime, but that's not a concern.
How about your inspirations, Matt? In general, across your body of work, where do you find inspiration in general?
Lately, I like the work of Peter Hutton, James Benning. They make films that are kind of slow, contemplative, long takes, very beautiful images, no sound. I like Stan Brakhage, Peter Kubelka, but mostly James Benning and Peter Hutton.
And then how about whoa, there goes my lights. That's weird. Hold on.
Oh,
So I think, Matt, the first time that we met virtually was through one of our experimental festivals. You've screened some stuff, and then we've screened some collaborations that you've done with others and some collections of films. I gotta change this light because this looks horrible. Hold on. So talk to us a little about your collaborations and some of the programs that you've put together.
well, a few months, almost a year ago now, Pasquale Palladino produced a collection of work called Fragments of Life. And he asked me to be a co-editor and contributor to the project. Now, he got the idea because we were both involved in a film series organized by the Kino Club in Split, Croatia, on the topic of minimalism and nature. And Fragments of Life, it's an anthology of 14 short films from artists associated with the Agitate 21C collective from all over the world.
And many of those folks are watching right now. So hello to Agitate.
I hope so. I sent out a few messages.
I saw a couple on our stream earlier. So yeah, and we have some more folks from Agitate that are going to be joining us in future months here, screening some films and doing some Q&A. And we've screened Fragments of Life here last year, which was amazing. What's next, Matt? What are you working on? What's cooking?
Well, our latest project is from PVH Film. Now that stands for Palladino, Vascapolo, and Helm. That's a production company my friends and I established at the end of 2020. Pasquale Palladino, Angelina Vascapolo, and myself. We have our latest project is called Poeticism, which is an anthology of short works on poetic cinema. Now, I'll just read you a few of them that I have here.
Awesome.
The Heart in Our Mind, Angelina Vascapolo. In Search of Thanatos by Nikolai Gosic. Two Motions, Traveling and Fixed Shot by Lizzie Prada. The Blue of the Forbidden and Charlie Parker Became Bird by Yovana Semendova. Event Tide by Muriel Paraboni. Depression as Geography by Sylvia Toy St. Louis. The Clapping Tree by Jutta Prior. Mother's Milk by Martin Del Carpio. That's O by Finn Harver. Estonia, Talon and Fall Colors by Bahadir Ozer. Three Stories with Stalker by Pasquale Palladino. And Crash by me, Matt Helm. Did that come through okay?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And we'll have, when we post this on the website following tonight, we'll have some links to Matt's films and some of the stuff that he has coming up for sure. Matt, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, wait a minute. I just want to mention two things before we go, okay?
Oh, yeah, please.
Quick. Oh, find us on Instagram, PVH Film. That's Instagram, PVH Film, and Facebook, PVH Website Development Team. Okay?
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll have links to that too on the site when we put this up.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt. Have a good night.
Can I sign off or should I stay on?
Yeah, you can sign off.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It was great to be here. Have a good night.
Thanks, Matt. You too.
Bye-bye.
Matt Helm, everyone. And as I said, we'll have Matt's films linked and some of the things he's working on the site, as well as this whole recording for folks that couldn't watch us live. Next up, we have a Q&A with Pablo. 1 second, and I will... There's a lot of juggling going on here on my end, just saying. Here we go. It seems like it's working. I'm not getting like weird like sound echoes or feedback or anything, so that's good.
So far so good. Could you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All
hey,
right.
Pablo. Is your video paused?
Is it paused? No.
Oh, hold on. I don't know if that's I probably jinxed myself. Your my Zoom looks like it's frozen. Well, anyway, I can hear you, so we'll have a static picture of you until the Zoom catches up. I don't know what happened there.
And it's a great picture, too.
That's so weird. Anyway, Pablo, thanks for joining us tonight. The live score was awesome. And, you know, I think back to close to the time when we met, probably 3 years ago, when we had the space here in Los Angeles. I think it was a Michael Woods film that we were screening in the background to someone playing, and it was this magical thing that happened, and it's happened a lot at the space years ago, and that sort of was the genesis of the live score segment that we do on these. Is this the first time you've done anything like that? Have you done anything like live scoring in the past?
I have done a live score in the past with a film that I chose.
Oh, there you are. Thank God.
Oh, cool. Maybe I just need to move a little bit. I was being very still. I did live scoring of a movie I chose in the past, but this is the first time I've kind of taken a film that I have not kind of selected. So it was interesting. It was really fun to do.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear from Sibi. I don't know what time it is in India right now. I'm sure it's probably very early in the morning, but I can't wait to hear from Sibi too, because it's always a treat to hear the filmmakers hear a completely new audio source to their pieces and see what they think about that. So that was cool. So Pablo, before we get into your set, definitely wanted to have a Q&A. And, you know, folks didn't get to see during the live score. I was going to cut to it, but didn't. But your Eurorack, your modular synthesizer set up and behind you, and they'll see it in your set soon. How did you get into modular? Tell us a little bit about what brought you in.
It's a super long story, but it was actually, I come from a more traditional music background where I was trying to figure out a way to do backing tracks, which led me down this synthesizer kind of rabbit hole, and then to modular synthesizers. And I have kind of a background in tech too, and there was something about, as I was learning more about modular synthesizers, it's basically, think of it as a Lego that you could build your own synthesizer with using various different companies, and I almost call them artists because these companies are usually like 5 people running them, and you build your own instrument, and you can also compose and play on that instrument in real time, and that's something I couldn't do on my bass in the past. It was the first time I was able to almost compose like a conductor, and the knobs are the musicians. So it was super freeing to the things I was hearing in my head.
It's totally nuts. I think the first time I was introduced to it was a show that you guys did at the Old Space, where it was a modular show, and I was like, oh my god, this is I mean, I've been into keyboards since I was a kid, but I had no idea like what this world opened up, and I since kind of have gotten hooked. Where that's the other thing is, I'm sure you can attest to, it's like very addictive as well once you get into it.
Oh yeah, very addictive. And the modules are priced where you could buy them a piece at a time, so it's that. Yeah. It's like you're building this. It's almost like painting a painting, you know, and you want to find the right color, and you get it wrong, you buy another one, and you trade, and the community is just amazing. It's just a great community, especially in LA.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. What's I know this is a trick question, but what's your favorite module?
Oh, that's really tough.
Today, what's your favorite module?
I think my favorite module right now is this one called the BIA, and it's one of the first modules I bought by Noise Engineering, and it's just like my go-to module that I just use for so many things. It's so like flexible, and it'll never come out of my rack, you know. But there's so many other great modules. I mean, like this one module called Maths is a very simple module that doesn't actually make a sound, but it shapes sound. And it's the most popular one out of all time, and that's an amazing one too. But that's like making me choose like your favorite child, so it's so hard.
I know. No, Maths is one that I've gotten just totally swept away by. My day job involves data and analytics and AI and things like that. So Maths like is really cool to see what it does with signals and how it shapes sounds and everything, for sure.
It's so simple, but I've had that thing for years, and I'm still learning new things on it.
Yeah. It's amazing, too, to your point, like that, you know, most of the folks that run these companies that build this hardware are all musicians, and you buy one of these modules and you play with it, and then you're like, how on earth did somebody put this together? Like, especially when you flip the back and you see the circuitry and everything, it's mind-blowing. I mean, to me, that I don't, you know, solder or do like hardcore electronics, and it's just like pretty amazing for sure.
No, it definitely is. And you know, these are people like that come to the stores and do the demos. They come to shows. I've done shows with, you know, people from Noise Engineering, and the guy from Make Noise shows up at one of my shows, and like, so they're really part of the community. It's not like this far away, distant, you know, person that has no relationship with the artist. That's what's really cool about it.
So cool. Well, hey, Pablo, before we get into your set, what are you working on right now? I know you just had a album that you put together, yeah? A little bit ago?
Yeah, it's on Bandcamp. If anybody's interested, it's pabloperez.bandcamp.com. It's called Fly, and it's kind of like this new kind of concept I call brokenity, where I've been thinking about my music and like right now during this time of the pandemic and these interesting social times, like there's so many broken things, right? And instead of like denying things that are broken, like how do you get these broken things and piece them together and make it into something new, And whether it's like broken sounds, broken machines, or breaking your own like mindset about how you look at like art. And so a lot of my music is starting to evolve towards this kind of sense of broken patterns and static and patches and so forth. That's how it's kind of starting to evolve.
That's awesome. We'll have a link also for everyone to check out Pablo's music and link to his Instagram and such when we post this up on the site. So Pablo, I'm gonna switch it over to you and let's hear some of this. Super exciting.
Alrighty, cool.
Pablo Perez. That was awesome, Pablo. Everybody check out Pablo on Bandcamp, and we'll have the links in when we post this up to Pablo on Bandcamp. And Pablo, we can't wait to do this again in person. It looks like it's getting close to being back out there in some capacity. So looking forward to doing this again in the alley in North Hollywood or somewhere for one of our live events on site here in the future.
Absolutely, would love to do that.
Well, that's it, folks. That felt like it went by quick this evening. We're glad to be back, and we're going to do these monthly again for the foreseeable future, and hopefully some live stuff here coming up in the summertime when things open back up here in Los Angeles, which is super exciting. So the next one we're going to do is going to be May 22nd. We'll be posting the lineup for that live event here on Vimeo and Facebook in the next couple weeks. Thanks again to Pablo Sibi Sakar, who provided URIM for Pablo's live score. Matt Helm will post the links to Matt's films on the site as well. And everyone have a great evening. Thanks again.